There comes a time for all of us when the point of disgust becomes the make it or break it moment of our lives. We have a choice. Choose to identify our problems, do the work to understand our challenges, and finally put forth the effort to overcome the issues that may have plagued us our entire life. Or we can choose to avoid those troubles that drag us and those around us down and continue to wallow in the pain, the shame, and double or triple down on the negative thoughts racing around in our mind. It's a very tough choice, but once we decide we want to begin the healing process, how can we begin to help ourselves? What are some things we can do to begin the walk down a path of happiness, fulfillment, and ultimately contentment with who we are as a person? We don't need anything fancy, but we do need a plan in order to hop on and stay on that positive path of healing. This plan doesn't require an app, a therapist, or a ton of money. The only requirement of this plan is our willingness to open our minds and souls to ourselves. In this episode of Man vs. Mood, we'll discuss 10 steps to begin this plan. This is
Man vs. Mood.
Here we are, boys. How we doing on a day that we finally have a break from this beautiful fucking rain that we've been enjoying, right?
Hey, we shouldn't have a drought now, at least.
Oh, I'm sure they'll find a way to make us drought something. Gary?
It's pretty terrible. I'm so sick of the rain. But
Well, see, Mother Nature 2 weeks ago, I was telling Mike before you got here, 2 weeks ago it was 75, 78 degrees here. Yeah. And that was Mother Nature just like, I'm going to toy with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you think shit's about to get better. And then wham!
Snow.
Yeah, right? 4 days later, we get fucking 4 inches of snow, and it's been a torrential downpour, it feels like, for the past week.
And then we get snail.
Snail?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, snow and hail.
Yeah.
I was out on Highway 14, and there was like a fucking inch of, or more than that, of just ice from the hail. Somebody spun out in the middle of Highway 14 and got the fuck out of their Subaru. A Subaru to walk around traffic 3 lanes deep behind it. It was right before 164th on SR 14 westbound. I'm like, you have got to be not very smart to get out in the middle of a hailstorm. And it was just like, it was sideways in the middle of the road. But I'm like, you know, you could just throw her in 4-wheel drive in that nice little Subaru you got there and pull off to the side rather than inspecting your car in the middle of the highway.
Yeah.
That wasn't the smartest job on those people's part, but
yeah.
How about you though? When that shit happens and you're driving that big truck around, you have to chain up and everything?
Yeah, definitely. And like, depending on where you are too, like for us, if you go to like Sandy and like the Mount Hood area, definitely.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, if you're just, I don't know, like in Southeast Portland or something like that, probably not. But it's definitely tough, you know, sometimes like when you back into a dock and you have all that weight and then you try to pull out and you're stuck. I mean, I guess that's the problem for multiple things, but like sometimes you just try to pull out and just, you know, you just get stuck.
Yep. And you can't get out.
That's what she said.
Yeah. So what are we thankful for today, gentlemen? Gary, let's start with you. You're on my left.
I'm thankful for food, man.
Food, okay.
I mean,
why are we thankful for food?
So I like started this like diet thing where you just have 3 shakes a day, and one,
Shakeology?
Yeah, or Metafast or something.
I don't
you
know
don't need to lose that much weight, bro.
I know, but it was just like a challenge, just because last month I did like all like vegetarian, no meat, no whatever.
So you were a Portlander.
Yes. But I wasn't driving a Subaru or a Prius, so no.
But you had a beanie. You know you had a beanie.
This fucking guy. Basically, yeah. So I did that last month, and then this month, like I just wanted like a new challenge. So a friend of mine and I started this like 10-day like smoothie thing or whatever. So the first day it's, you know, it's apples and like mango and banana and like spinach and kale. And then the second day is, you know, like a different type.
Yeah.
So so I had apples for the first time, and fuck.
You don't eat apples?
Not really.
You're an anti-apple man?
Yeah. So I guess I'm not very Portland, I guess. I don't know. So I'm not really sure.
Kind of
Do you eat
pears
granola?
over there.
So if there's like almonds and stuff in it, and like
see,
the
and
little
then
raisin.
You're Portland.
You're
granola.
fucking nutty, that's for sure.
So basically, so I I make this shake. It's 4:00 in the morning, getting ready for work. I make this shake. I drink it while I'm driving to work, or before I started driving to work, and then I get to work and my throat starts closing up, and I'm like
you're having an anaphylactic reaction to it,
and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Hey, yeah, right. So I'm like being stupid. I'm like, I'll be all right. So I get in the truck. I start driving. I start driving down the road.
So you were the one that caused all the traffic that day.
Basically, yeah, exactly. So then I start driving, and then, basically had to pull off on the side of the road. I start dry heaving and throwing up. And then,
damn.
Long story short, I went to the ER, and then they had to shoot me with an EpiPen, and they had to put IVs in me, and it was pretty brutal. So basically, I found out that I'm allergic to fresh apples.
Really?
And fresh cherries because of all the pollen and shit that it carries on it. So when I put in a whole apple in my shake,
do you not wash it off first?
I mean, I did, but it doesn't matter. It's filled with shitloads of pollen and stuff like that. I mean, you're gonna wash off your fruit and vegetables, but it just
no kidding
doesn't matter.
So how you got the day off work, obviously, so you didn't die.
Yeah. And so I got to the hospital, and I'm there. I went to the wrong area, and I walk in the front door, and I talk to the greeter person or whatever, and I'm like, I can't breathe, my throat's fucked up, help me out. And she was like, yeah, no problem. So she starts to walk me back, and then she brings me over to somebody else that works at the front desk at the hospital, and this person is like, I'm not on the clock yet. I'm not going to help him out. So I'm like, oh.
You're going to go ahead and let me die right here.
I'm
don't you go dying on me now, you hear?
Yeah, I'm like, don't worry. I can barely breathe, but I'll just walk myself around over here.
Just give me the EpiPen. I'll shoot myself.
Yeah. So once I made it back to the ER.
So I think you're thankful for the EpiPen more than the food because you're alive.
No. I'm thankful for the food because I did all that juicing. So even after that, I did the juicing for that day. I did it yesterday. And then today when I got back to work, they had a barbecue. So I'm like, fuck this diet. I'll start again tomorrow.
We've all been there.
So I'm thankful for food. Fuck it.
What kind of barbecue did you have?
Oh, man. Let's see. I had a double patty cheeseburger with the hot dog.
So you just went total fuck Portland. I'm
everything.
making up for these 2 weeks of good food, and I'm just going to get after it.
Dude, it was so good. See, I had a double patty burger with a hot dog, cookies,
on
Cheetos.
It?
No, it was separate.
You just went after it. See, this is I couldn't eat that much food in a week without gaining 10 pounds.
No, they don't call me Homer Simpson for nothing, man.
Straight get after it.
The black Homer Simpson.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was Al Bundy.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Mike, what about you?
I'm thankful for these hats that we got.
Yes,
they look
very
nice.
much. I'm very thankful for those too.
Small thankful for, but I went to this place over in Hazeldale yesterday, and I walked in. I'm like, hey, you got 3 black hats, and I was asking you guys what size you needed, and you're just like, just get snapback, don't matter.
Yeah.
But pulled up the logo PDF, and he had each hat done in probably about 15 minutes.
Those machines are fast.
Oh, and he amped it. So I didn't want to send it to you guys, but he let me come back there and video it, so I have a time lapse of the whole thing get done.
That's
Sweet.
cool.
So I'll put it on TikTok. And
I've had it done at Lids in the mall there, and they just whip it right out. Those things are. I'm sure those machines are very expensive, though.
He's like, don't touch it. I'm like, don't worry. I don't want to get a needle through my finger. 100 at whatever RPM it was. It was ridiculous.
Those things, because they will really mess you up if you did get your finger in it. Because when they were doing that it was Lids. It was the place in the mall right below or right by Cinnabon there at Vancouver Mall. And I wasn't quite sure that the kid that was running it knew what the hell he was doing, but he got it in there. He didn't do a very good job of convincing me that he knew what the hell he was doing, but he got it done. And
what'd you get done?
I had something on. I had a Yankee hat, and at one point I had like 60 Yankee hats, and I had something done for one of the World Series or something.
Okay.
It was nothing very
That's
important,
cool.
but I don't even have the hat anymore.
So do you see the variation though? He has white.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And you have,
and I have the black on it. So he's like, yeah, no problem.
Sweet.
He's able to do all kinds of stuff. He goes, I can do beanies, I can do hoodies, I can do
Gary
hats,
wants
I
a
can
beanie.
I know. I should have gotten one.
Yeah.
He looks better in the hat though.
What was the name of the company?
CJ's Embroidery. It's in, I think it's called Top to Bottom.
Oh, okay.
What's top to bottom?
It's
Clothing store?
Clothing store. And then they have this little embroidery place in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, separate little business. So I've used them before for some of my real estate stuff, for hats and jacket and stuff. But they did a good job.
That's very nice. Well, I was going to use the same thing because they look really good and they look even better on you guys. That's when they look good, because a hat can be a hat, but when you get it on, you can't pull off every hat. I can't pull off every hat. You probably can, Gary.
Gary's head's big enough that you can pull off a flat bill.
What size hat do you wear? I got a fat head too.
I have no clue, man.
I wear 7 5/8.
Do you really?
No clue.
You have a monster head.
Yeah.
I talked to Brett, texted him. I sent him the video, and I sent him a picture of the hats, and he's like, "Oh, I want one." I go, "Well, what size are you?" He goes, 7 7/8. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Jesus.
I'm like, I don't. They don't make that.
Yeah. It's like,
You're
that's
gonna need
the
a beanie.
Shaq hat.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brett. We got a special order you one, buddy.
We're going to have to put it in a trash bag or something. That's huge, man.
It
is
gigantic.
Yeah.
Gigantic.
So,
Brett, so I hope you're listening to this, and we're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you, because I have a giant head also.
This is true.
Yours has to be. What tag are you on the back, or what number are you on?
I think this is 3 in.
Yeah, that's what I'm on too.
Oh, okay.
really?
What are you, Mike?
I'm
7.
I'm 7.
All right.
Yeah.
Pretty standard.
It's funny. My son wears the same size hat as I do.
Damn.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. He's
Holy
like 6
moly.
and 7/8. I'm like, how the hell is your head that big already?
Damn. It's like an ends in a toothpick.
Yeah. Pretty
It's
much.
huge. It's like Sputnik. You guys remember that movie?
No.
No.
So I Married an Axe Murderer, one of Mike Myers'
Mike Myers.
yes, greatest performances. He's the dad of the. Oh,
Kind of sounded like Fat Bastard there for a minute.
well,
so.
it's Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Man,
Absolutely.
I just watched The Taxi Driver over the weekend.
Oh, with is
Jake
that De Niro?
Gyllenhaal?
No.
No, that's Ambulance.
No, the old one
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
80s,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
De Niro, isn't it?
Yeah. Man,
Oh, that's a crazy movie.
so good. Like I don't know, I've never watched it before. I'm not a big fan of like old stuff, but I'm getting old
It's
now.
the 80s, bro. It ain't that long ago. The old is what I consider like the 60s.
Yeah, that's true.
So speaking of movie stars, we're gonna get into we want to jump into some segments here a little bit and give you guys a little bit of a break from things. And I figured mental health and the media, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are dominating the news cycle for some reason. I haven't figured this out. We have so many other crazy things that we should be like actually paying attention to, in my opinion. But for some reason, I mean, like live coverage of this or no, it's not a divorce. He is suing her for $50 million. But today, evidently, they were talking about his drug use and cocaine. He was a big fan of cocaine and opiates and all that
Him
kind of
being
stuff.
violent and all types
Very
of stuff.
violent. But
Yeah.
she cut his finger off, he said. I'm
What?
like, you got 6 more of them or 4 more of them. I could do math.
You actually have 9 more, but unless
Well,
he's
I'm just saying
one-hand
on
man like
one
you.
hand. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But when you see people, and the reason I want to bring it up is the relationships, and when you see people that hate each other, but they have to be in the same room, like forced. That is an interesting dynamic to me, not from a like national news standpoint, but when you see that, I mean, you're suing somebody for $50 million and accusing them of beating you up, breaking bottles over your head, cut your fingers off.
Yeah.
What's that like? I mean, first of all, do we think it's true? I mean, I don't know if you guys have followed it. I have just seen.
Haven't paid attention to it at all.
I don't know. Like I definitely think there's a little sauce being put on it.
Oh, I think there's a lot of sauce. Johnny's a saucer,
Yeah. And
flying saucer.
it's always interesting, you know, when you're going through the the things, the things always seem so great, and the aftermath of it is just always so horrible, and this person was so bad.
I know that's what is kind of weird to me, is like you can go from loving somebody so much to, I mean, I'm damn near see people want to kill each other sometimes.
Yeah, and like I think it's like the same thing again with Hugh Hefner. Like,
oh man,
when he was alive, people were like, "Oh, he's the greatest man. Like, he's so sweet and this and that." And now, he is not here.
He was not so sweet.
Yeah, and they're just saying like all these things, and it's always the aftermath. It's always when things.
We usually learn about things after they happen, and if somebody dies, but regardless of what it is, the truth a lot of times will find its way out, and most of the time it's somewhere in the middle. But it is interesting to watch two people just despise each other.
Did they have a relationship or something?
Well, they were married.
Oh,
I mean that's got to be the craziest relationship on earth, because she's an actress and he's Johnny Depp, and I'm sure he lives in a fucking space world or something.
A bat cave or something.
Oh, I mean, I've heard that he's incredibly eccentric.
Probably lives in Wonka land.
He probably lives in Portland with me. Who knows?
He likes his granola with his almonds. Water cereal.
We also had Mike Tyson decide this morning to punch somebody out. We watched the film or the video of it just before we hit record, and this dude caught a beating.
That reminded me of Mike Tyson Punch Out, because when I'm that little character down at the bottom weaving and whacking.
Wouldn't that Glass Joe?
Glass Joe Jaw?
Yeah.
Glass Jaw Joe.
Yeah.
Dude, he got beat the F up.
Mm-hmm.
But Tyson, evidently from reports coming out of the story, there were possible racial slurs and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, Gary, because you're the only one that's been in a position like that. Have you ever had somebody do anything like that to you?
I mean... Yeah.
I mean, like...
Is that a serious question?
Absolutely. Has somebody ever, attacked you using racial slurs?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Definitely.
He's mentioned it before.
For me...
I mean, I'm just talking about, I want to...
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the things that stands out, I guess, is there was a new kid to my grade school, and his cousin had already been going to our school, so I had tried to befriend him and be nice to him and be cordial or whatever. And one day he got mad at me and didn't like something that I did or whatever, and rather than trying to talk about it, he just called me a nigger. And
no shit.
At that point, I just grabbed him and I fucking body slammed him on the ground, and I proceeded to do that a couple different times. And then
what grade were you?
I was probably in 5th grade.
I was gonna say kindergarten or
no. And I mean, he went home and talked to his parents, and I was the one that got in trouble, and he got in trouble as well. And so again, I'm not condoning violence or anything, but one of the things that he said was that he had heard this language from his parents. So
now I remember you sharing that with us. Yeah. That part really sticks out.
Oh yeah. So I mean, there was a couple of times like that, where I had to get out of myself and kind of
bring out DMV Gary.
Yeah, bring out DMV and Mike Tyson Gary.
That's well, I mean, it sucks that you have to deal with that. I guess it's a little. It's not going to be. It's not better, but kids are a product of their environment, so they're going to do things, and if their parents are responsible and say dumb shit, then they're going to do that. But we see that on the internet now, and people will throw around these crazy ass words, and I mean, it just blows you away that there are people that, I mean, I've seen people write that I should be exterminated because I'm handicapped, because I'm not a real person. Or whatever. That's
the Nazi way of of thinking.
Exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't, that shit doesn't faze me because it's just somebody on a keyboard. But what it does do is it reinforces to me that there is a lot of ideas in the world right now that if you're different than me, or you look different, or you believe different, that means you're inherently bad. Yeah. And it has really caused me to rethink that just because somebody, look or has a different ideal or looks different or whatever, if people are willing to think that about me, when does that work itself up the food chain? Because we've already had World War II and the horrible atrocities there, what's happening in Ukraine and all that. But when these things are substantiated by politics and that kind of thing, it does scare me. I mean, not like in a, ooh, I'm scared, but it's like people really do hate those that look different than them.
Right.
And that really does, I mean, it drives home that fact that I am one of those people and that they may look down on me or want something bad to happen to me because of the way I was born. Yeah. That's just obnoxious.
You know, the only time I really experienced racism was when I went to Australia, of all places.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't really racism, it was more countryism.
Oh,
they do not like the Australian men do not like, for the ones that I met, do not like American men.
No kidding.
The Australian women love American men.
I've heard that before.
Because we're not assholes. Yeah. We don't treat them like shit. We're a lot better, you know, more romantic and suave, like, you know, Barry White over here.
Now, I just love scrolling Gary's
White.
TikToks and watching all the fucking comments and all the hearts and the kissy faces.
Those are all me, guys. It's all fake.
No bullshit. I know they're not because I go check the profiles and I'm like, oh, she wants him. She wants him.
No. It's all lies.
No, it ain't a lie.
It's all lies. But not like. But not like it's funny because I mean, for me, like I don't look at you as being different. Like I don't look at you as being different. So I mean, so it's interesting for me to hear your story and to hear your story. And I think that the sad thing about the Mike Tyson thing is that, you know, at one point to me, he was the scariest man on the face of the planet.
Oh,
when he was bit Evander Holyfield.
Oh yeah,
I remember where I was that night.
Oh yeah, like that was the most terrifying thing ever, right? And it's like, you know, all these things happened after that, you know, with the transitioning, you know, of his daughter, you know, with him going to prison and with him now, you know, talking about his childhood and talking about, you know, how he made money, you know, punching people, like old people out, you know, saying like he's going to take their groceries to their car and then he would punch them and then take their money and rob them or whatever, right?
I didn't hear all this.
Like he's just
he's got some banana stories.
Right, like he's just an animal, but just the sad part about it is there's so many people that are just going to see this man hitting this person and think, oh, well, he hasn't changed. He hasn't, you know, done the work and done anything when really.
Oh, he's done a lot.
Yeah, when really, you know, he's you know, a different person, to me at least, you know.
You get to that point when someone says something, you're just like, all you see is red.
Yeah.
And he was definitely seeing crimson.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that's using, you know, racial slurs or whatever it might be, and you repeatedly have given, I mean, he took a selfie with the guy. Yeah. He was very, I guess, cordial from what it sounds like, and then things turned nasty. But you have somebody recording it, and so that kind of puts your antenna up that maybe there was something going on. But it's not like you can plan that. You didn't know that Mike Tyson was going to sit in front of you on an airplane, but you got to be pretty fucking stupid, though, to sit there and trash talk Mike Tyson. I don't give a shit who you are, unless you're Evander Holyfield.
But, I mean, think about how fucked up this world is for this person to be holding up a phone, not saying, dude, man, you should probably stop that. You should probably, you know, cut that shit out.
Well, the guy was yelling, you know, yo, Mike, and I'm not that's going to stop Mike Tyson.
Was it him or somebody else?
It sounded like it was from the camera person, but I don't know.
But it just seems like people should have been stopping this fucking guy that's obviously drunk or saying something like a flight attendant or something maybe. I don't know.
It should have been kicked off the plane.
Oh, I think because Tyson got escorted off the plane because it was not in flight yet. But I think that's a bigger thing in society now is people are either they're afraid of a litigious society that they're going to get sued if they step in, or they're just scared and they don't know how to handle those types of situations. I mean, I know I've seen them, and I'm not. It's like getting in. If two dogs are fighting, I don't have a problem getting in between them to stop them. Yeah, it's the same thing with humans. But most people, I think that they're honest to goodness scared of it, and I mean I can see why. But you got to want to. What?
No, I was like, they looked like Bree that just walked by with their little twin brothers.
No, I just think that a lot of people they would rather watch. They actually are entertained by that, and I don't find that, unless it's sanctioned in a ring, to be something enjoyable to watch people get beat up.
We're in a 30-second society nowadays, though, with
Not even
TikTok
that long.
and Instagram and Facebook and all that crap. I mean,
Well, and they want to get famous too. They're like, "Oh, we're going viral with this one."
I hate that.
Right? I mean, it's like, I got Mike Tyson beating a
it's
dude
just
up.
a switch from the like button to how many views can I get now?
Oh, yeah.
How many follows? How many, whatever.
But I mean, I don't know, just kind of speaking on this, like, it's going to be interesting just to look back. 'Cause I mean, you look back like on years past of, they talk about the like dangers of cigarettes and the dangers of, smoking like indoors or whatever. It's going to be interesting to see what transpires.
Oh, they've already done huge studies on Facebook and Instagram. And we were kind of chatting about that in our chat, that the impact that it has had, social media, primarily Instagram, on preteen and teenage girls, and the suicide levels that have gone up because, and the being drawn to extreme dieting. What they're finding, though, is that rather than algorithms learning that a user possibly has an issue, it's feeding them more of the same content and more extreme content to make them, whether it's this extreme diet. Yeah. And I've listened to quite a few podcasts that have talked about that the impact that Facebook and Instagram have had on society through the elections, through being served, whether it's diet stuff, suicide rates have gone up, and then you put a pandemic on top of it. I mean, it really was a really bad time for us in 2020. Right. And I think what you'll see is there's going to be some congressional type limitations put on these companies, just like they slapped over 18 stuff on cigarettes and the lottery. Now it's 21 for cigarettes, but I think you'll see some kind of, some kind of control placed upon them, because I think tech needs to be controlled at some point, just because I don't want them making decisions for us. Yeah. And right now there are engineers that are making decisions for society. Yeah. And I don't think that they're best suited for that. That's
definitely
my
not,
opinion. But
because like they don't care about the person, they just care about
they care about clicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It drives money.
Yeah.
Because enragement equals engagement. Well, if you are one of those people that have suffered from a mental health issue with social media or any other way, we have 10 tips to help improve your mental health. So I'll read these off, and you guys tell me how you guys think of this and how it kind of works with your everyday life. We'll move through them pretty quickly. Number 1, make social connection, especially face-to-face. And this one really correlates with the social media, because I think, and the pandemic, because that pushed us away from each other. And I know Mike and I have talked extensively about how when we would meet during the pandemic, we would both come out of that feeling much, much better. It just is, like you say, we give hugs, and not everyone's a hugger. I get that, but it's oxytocin that's released in your brain when you touch another human, and that's why it's so important.
They say you're supposed to have 10 hugs a day.
Yeah, I don't think many of us get that.
No, I don't even think I get more than 1 or 2.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I get a couple. But
why? If you throw your kids in on there, but it's. For me, I don't know. Michelle likes to cuddle a lot, so I get a lot of, oxytocin that way. But before, I would say maybe most days would go 0.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's a really good way to help bond with your kids too.
Yeah.
Whether it's just sitting there with the little one on your lap, or
your 18-year-old's trying to get away because you're trying to give them.
Well, I mean, even my 22-year-old son, I give him a hug every day.
Yeah.
And my younger one too.
That's awesome.
At least before he goes to work, and the other one before he goes to bed. Yeah. At least one hug a day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's it's about consistency when you come to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Number 2, stay active. All 3 of us know the power of that. It has literally saved my life.
It's helping me lose weight and get stronger.
Yeah.
Damn, and I thought I was doing a good job with my steps. Yesterday I had like 15,000 steps, and then I checked my shit. Will had like 20,000 steps. I was God
and then I had like 1,000.
I was like, damn, well, let me go ahead and just sit my ass down real quick and not be happy anymore.
No, don't ever use me.
Did you go for a walk or a hike or something?
I average at least 4.5 to 5 miles a day of cardio, and then whatever else I do on top of that.
Yeah.
So I do 2.5 miles in the morning usually, and then at least 2 miles in the evening. So, and then sometimes I get crazy. Like if I want to listen to a podcast really bad, and then I'll just keep going. I told my wife last week, I'm like, oh, this is a short one because I wasn't feeling very good. She goes, I came back an hour later. I was like, I was really into this one. It was a really good one. So number 3, talk to someone. That kind of goes with number 1, but this is if it's not possible to meet with somebody face to face, at least having some kind of connection that is not on a keyboard.
Yeah.
I think that in 2022 is the important thing to say is, I guess FaceTime is nice, but hearing a voice that helps to have the face-to-face contact. You guys have anyone that other than us, that you actually talk to, like, hey, I'm going to give this person a call?
Yeah.
Because calling is kind of a dead thing now.
For me, like I've been trying to be more active, as far as like calling friends and loved ones and stuff. But it's interesting being more like on this TikTok now because I found more people that are like, trying to do the same things, we're doing. Like I found that there was one guy, he's in Wisconsin, but he's just making, like inspirational videos about like, keep battling through it and, like do things that make you happy and stuff like that. And like, I love to see stuff like that because it kind of like reaffirms with my inner self, I guess, that like people like really just trying their best. And for me, like, it's good just to see all these people doing that, like on TikTok. So
what I like about it is that because Twitter has really messed up my mind. Not really, but the worst of people I think comes out on Twitter, and there's a lot of ego there. And TikTok, I don't find that. I think the sense of community is much greater. I think it helps that you see the person, whereas on on Twitter, they can write comments on TikTok, but it's the videos. You don't have to go in and look at the comments.
That's true.
You're seeing a person's face and you have a connection with them. Look at Brett, how fast that connection, but you can actually see their facial tics and whatnot to try to gauge their sincerity and things like that. At least that's how I look at it.
Like it's funny that you say that because it's true about Brett too, and it's interesting because the negative things that I've had or read or whatever, it's like always people that like have no videos or no pictures.
Well, no, I've had people.
Yeah, they hide behind the little fake picture they put up. Oh,
I've had people make accounts to troll me.
Yeah,
and I get that. It's happened to me on every platform I've ever been on. If you're going to play this game, you had better be ready for trolls and haters because they will say, that shit we were talking about earlier, they will come even harder. And if you take it to heart, then you had better get off of social media. I haven't had too many on TikTok. Usually it's Twitter when they really like to come after me. But I'm not saying what they want to hear. And so they want to pick apart, and I'm very open with who I am. And so they'll come at me with, mean shit. I'm like, I've been on the internet since fucking 1996. So you really can't surprise me unless you're going to lop a dead body in front of my fucking house. There's really not a lot that's going to surprise me.
What'd be really fun is to get read. You know how they do on like, what is it? It's Jimmy Fallon. Where you read mean tweets.
Oh yeah.
That'd be so fun to read for us. So send us some mean tweets.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, that's true. For the basketball players and stuff like that, they do that too as well.
Yeah. It is pretty funny. Moving along, appeal to your senses. What does this mean to you? Appeal to your senses. I have a feeling I know what it is, but when you hear appeal to your senses as a positive for your mental health, Mike, I'm going to start with you this time. What does that mean to you?
Well, for me, it's like, for my senses, I would get away, go recharge somewhere, maybe go to the beach or go to the mountains, go on a hike, just get in nature and, just kind of just veg out or relax, That's for me appealing to my senses.
I think a part of that is that it forces you to look in and actually ask yourself, what is it that I enjoy? What brings me happiness that I can control? Because a lot of times when we're in these funks or whatever, we rely on outside sources of enjoyment, happiness, and things like that. But one of the keys to having a strong outlook on your mental health is creating your own happiness and knowing that I don't have to rely on anyone else's validation. That was a big struggle for me for a long, long time because I was a bad people pleaser. My identity was trying to please other people. I was like the puppy that ran around chasing them like, and all it did was breed resentment within me though, because they would not reciprocate. I mean, almost to a T. Yeah. And so I would give. And like, you can just give me 1/100th of what I give you and I'll probably be happy. And that was too much. And so I would have a lot of resentment around that until I figured out that, hey, Will, it's your job to make you happy, not anyone else's. What does it mean to you though, Gary?
So yeah, I mean, I think it's along the same lines, just going out and doing things that kind of make you happy, whether it's going for a hike or a swim or going to eat some delicious apples or something like that. Yeah, right.
I mean, almost go die.
Yeah, or go paint your toenails. I mean, whatever you got to do,
Hey, okay, when it comes to personal hygiene, what level of like metrosexual will you go? Because I'm probably I don't know, you might beat me, Gary. I'm pretty metrosexual.
You look pretty metro, Gary.
I've got a picture on my phone though of me in a charcoal mask a few weeks ago that I'm thinking about dropping on the socials, but I'm not sure because I kind of look like a black knight of some sort with my beard hanging out from underneath it. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Mike, what about you? I mean, you do have
the most I'll do is get a pedicure, but I'll go with Michelle or I'll go with the girls. I don't go by myself.
I don't get manicures.
I don't either.
No,
I'm not a fingernail chewer, so.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm the same way.
Pedicures?
Chew my fingernails.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, he said he doesn't.
I don't.
Oh, well, Mike chews mine for me.
So wow. Do you understand what's underneath your fingernails, Gary?
Fecal matter, Gary. Fecal matter.
Apples.
Yeah, right.
Fecal matter. I would
earwax,
say
boogers.
Earwax, boogers. I would say dirt.
Dead skin. Other people's fecal matter.
Soda products.
Wow. Mike just had to go there. He just couldn't help himself. I didn't even hear what the fuck you said, Gary. Because as soon as it went, I was like, here we go. No, I'm a big fan of having my toenails done because I kind of get thunderfoot every once in a while. You got to get that shit cleaned up after the wintertime.
Yeah.
Did they use the cheese grater on your bottom of your feet?
Oh, fuck, yeah. I love it.
I can't do it.
It tickles my feet.
Oh, so much. But they take so much off.
I know. I love it.
I'm like,
because I'm an avid flip-flop wearer. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, once it hits like 80 degrees, there is nothing but flippy-floppies.
That's fine. That's perfect.
Oh, yeah. But you got to have your feet cleaned up. You don't go around with underfoot. You don't be...
Socks and sandals. That's what it's for.
See... Don't be more Portland than you are. You're in Washington.
You wear Birkenstocks.
I didn't talk about riding my bike up here. So
yeah,
I talked about wearing socks and sandals.
Who wears socks with their flippy floppies or their
old
sandals?
People that wear Birkenstocks.
Basketball players,
right?
But they're wearing socks and Crocs now.
Which, and they pull that shit up.
Yeah, I can't do Crocs.
No, Crocs have made a comeback. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And they got the camo ones, the whole thing.
Yeah, with like the pins and the whatever else stickers and stuff like that on it. I don't get it.
Yeah, neither do I. But no, I've got a full like facial routine and everything I do every morning because that's who I am. Yeah. Anyway, off we go. Take up a relaxation practice. Do any of you have a relaxation practice? Yoga, meditation, anything like that?
Go get massages pretty regularly.
A sensual massage.
I don't know if it's relaxing though because my massage therapist hurts me.
Oh, I love it.
Mine walks from working out all the time and stuff like that. My muscles are just like sore. I'm stuck, or my muscles won't release. And man,
I love it.
I just had a massage the other day, and I was like, oh, it fucking
Have
hurt.
you tried Ashiatsu? That's where they walk on you.
No.
Oh, it's the greatest thing ever. It is amazing because
it probably knocked my back out.
No, that's the beauty of it is that they can create longer like movement and work through the muscle with the balls of their feet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just tremendous. And get into like your hips and you're just like,
that's probably great if you're trained to do that. But like one of my friends
yeah.
just broke her rib, like having her daughter like walking her back.
Yeah, don't do that.
No,
it's different. Obviously,
they're holding on to bars above
they've
them.
got bars
take
above
the weight
them.
off of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
like
not
a
full.
circus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Trapezius and everything.
Okay.
Trapezius. Meditation is good. Have you guys used that on the mindfulness app on your watch?
No.
So every night my watch goes off at like 50 minutes before I go to bed, and it tells me just to take a minute, and does the same thing in the morning. But yeah, the mindfulness app will do that. Remind you on your Apple Watch.
I have the one that says breathe, where it's
Yeah, that will do that.
Yeah,
No, it's
got.
the mindfulness app, but
Okay.
it'll. It's in fact, I think it might be in the sleep app or something like that, but it's pretty handy.
I journal though too, and I think that actually helps get a lot of the crap that's in my head out on paper, and then I don't have to carry it anymore. So that is also relaxing.
Journaling is a wonderful thing to do. Absolutely. Oh, good.
Which means you wanted us to write some blog posts too,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
we'll journal on that.
100%. Mine just happened to be longer, but that's when I write. That's what I'm doing. Is I'm just vomiting onto a screen. Make leisure and contemplation a priority. That's kind of the mindfulness type stuff. Eat a brain healthy diet, unless it's apples, to support strong mental health. Then it make you drive you crazy. Diet is a huge one, though.
Yeah.
Get away from the sugars.
Yep, you've got to.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll put some of the information on the glutamate and whatnot that we've talked about before, and the impact that has on you. But it's fairly profound when you eat a lot of sugar, not so much natural sugar, in apples, pears, things like that, but the candy bars and soda pop and even iced tea and stuff has a ton of sugar in it, unless you get a sugar-free one. So the places where calories can attack you are often where you might least expect it.
The empty calories.
Yeah,
Drinks.
granola. Granola is a horribly, just a terrible food for you by most of them, because they have tons of sugar.
Yeah.
Now you can get ones with honey that are, make your own granola. If you make homemade granola, it's awesome. But a lot of the store-bought stuff is just packed full of sugar.
If you shop the perimeter of the grocery store, you'll stay away from all the stuff that you shouldn't be eating.
Yeah, but most of the stuff people want to buy is in the middle, because it's either cheap, it's easy, or it's fast.
Like Michelle's kids, Logan and Jackson, there's food in the fridge, and Logan eats a ton. So he's tall as I am now, 6'3", 6'4" almost, and he's 14, almost 15, and
he's an endless pit.
That kid and he's a beanpole.
Really?
He can eat like no other. We had dinner the other night. Michelle made this like sweet potato kind of Mexican dish, and he had 2 plates of that, and then he went right back to the fridge and like, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
He ate for probably another hour.
That's amazing.
And he was still hungry. I'm like, dude,
it's
drink some water.
When my oldest was 15 or 16, I mean, we just couldn't keep him fed, because he'd sit there and eat 2-3 times as much as me at dinner. And an hour later, the refrigerator, the cupboards and shit are all going. But now Derek's going through it, because he works out, he does jitsu, he does track, all of this, and it's a machine. Yeah. And if the machine goes too long, then their blood sugar drops and they turn into monsters. So you have to keep them fed. It's like the what was it, the Mr. Freeze 2000 on the back of the DeLorean on Back to the Future, where you just keep dumping shit into it. It's like a garbage disposal.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Don't skimp on sleep. This is probably my worst one.
Yeah.
Gary, are you a good sleeper? I know you have to get up early in the morning. What time do you go to bed?
12.
Like I try to go to bed at like 10:30, 11.
Are you shitting me? What time do you get up in the morning?
Like 3:15.
You are
Did you
crazy
get less than
person.
5 hours of sleep?
But also I've got the infant too, so it's like.
So you get no sleep.
So it's like for her, like she has him after work, so I try to get him after that to give her like a break. She just went back to work recently, so I just try to help out as much as I can. So I mean, some days it's more sleep than others, and some days it's less sleep, and it's pretty terrible.
So that's why we don't hear from him on his days off, because he's sleeping the entire day.
Fuck, man.
Are you a napper?
Man, so I do this thing that's called nap roulette, and basically
The hell is that?
I say that I'm gonna sleep for 15 minutes, and then I wake up 6 hours later.
Oh,
That's
pretty neat.
It's not neat at all.
You don't want to do that during work.
No, because I wake up to like all these messages and calls and where are you at? What are you doing? I'm like, fuck, I'm asleep. Because like for me, I hit REM sleep like that. And I've always been like that, and it's caused fights and arguments and just everything.
They have these things called alarms now. You can set them, and they will wake you up in a certain period of time.
And the great thing is on your iPhone is you can set multiple alarms.
So for me, I have 5 alarms set in the morning.
Oh, okay. So this is a serious issue.
Oh yeah, and like I typically wake up for the second or third alarm. I will definitely sleep through the first alarm, which is kind of scary. But then,
what if somebody's like, there's a fire or something, and you're just
we know whose house to break into now.
Right?
Never gonna wake up.
I know, God, I've slept through a lot of different things, and it's interesting because my son's the exact same way. Like once we're asleep, we're dead to the world.
Huh.
Yeah.
How many minutes apart are your alarm set?
5 minutes.
Don't they go off after like 8?
So
it's just a constant.
So the first one's 3:15, then 3:25, 3:30, and then 3:35 or whatever. But
do you have like a final alarm? Like if this one doesn't go off and I don't wake up, and then I'm staying home today.
And that last one says call in sick because you're not going to make it to work.
Do you wear your watch?
No, like I charge it at night.
Oh, see, that's how my alarm is on my watch.
When do you charge your watch then?
When I come back from the gym.
Oh.
So I do it after that, but that's the only way to go, because then I hate any sound from a phone. I do not want any sound ever from a phone.
Yeah.
So, but I typically wake up before my alarm.
Yeah.
So I have this ability my grandmother had, which is if I want to tell myself when to wake up, I will wake up usually within 5 minutes of that. So I'll just say, I want to be up at 4:30, and I'm usually awake by then.
One of my friends tried that at my job, and he got fired from where I work at. So
from Coca-Cola,
from being late, he's like,
he didn't set his alarm. I mean, I still set an alarm, but I like to get up.
Yeah.
Like my alarm goes off at 4:45, but I want to be up between 4:15 and 4:30.
Yeah.
So I just do that.
I don't have to set an alarm because Michelle gets up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock every morning, whether she wants to or not.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
So that's how I am on the weekends.
She's not a napping roulette though. Yeah. She takes naps when she's not working, like clockwork.
I do not take naps.
After lunch,
despise them.
She's out.
Really?
Yep. Either after lunch or breakfast, she takes a nap. She takes multiple naps a day.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I have a buddy that does that too.
When we were little, we're like, I don't want to go to fucking sleep. I want to stay up and play. Now I'm like, as we get older, I'm like, God, is it nap time?
I do not like sleeping during the day. I won't do it unless if I had to if I go like 3 or 4 days with like 2 or 3 hours of sleep, which I've had trouble sleeping in the past, then I might consider it. But other than that, it is a strict no sleeping for me.
Yeah, I don't get much sleep. Well, with sleep apnea, I'm on my CPAP now, but man, before I'd get like what you get, 3-4 hours a night.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm a night owl. I can't go to bed early. I can't fall asleep at 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Oh, I would like to be in
10, 11, 12. That's more my jam. And then I have to get up at, if I have the kids and I have to get them up for school, then I'm up at 6:30. Mm-hmm. But I have to work. So I have a kind of a accountability right now with the CPAP is in order for insurance to continue to pay for it, I have to wear it 4 hours a night. Oh. So now I have that beat into my head. So kind of like you're like, I'm going to wake up at X amount of time. I wake up at 4 hours.
Oh, really? To take it off?
Yeah, to take it off. And then I'm up.
You don't like it?
That's kind of restrictive.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's really making a difference.
Because you take it off.
Well, true, but I mean, like the last couple nights I've worn it 5 and 6 hours, so I'm actually increasing, which I think is hopefully helping.
Well, sleep is very important. Now, each of us needs a different amount of sleep. I can go 6 hours is plenty. I don't want more than 7. I don't ever want to sleep more than 7 hours because then I'm really groggy and stuff. But you kind of get into that rhythm, especially by the time you're our age, where you say, hey, I do great on 5 or 6. I run optimally on that. Or I need 8. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that need 8, and if they don't get it, then they are bears.
Right.
How many hours do you like to get?
3. For me,
I mean, are you a 10-hour sleep guy?
No. For me, so I'd say if I could get 6 or 7 hours a night of sleep, I'm great. But I mean, for me, like, I just think that I'm going to be tired, like when I wake up in the morning, no matter what.
I almost need the devil's lettuce to sleep a little bit longer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But then I'm all groggy the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
If you smoke or eat?
Eat it. I can't smoke it. I have asthma really bad.
Yeah,
these allergies have killed me.
Oh, yeah. Believe me on that.
I don't even have to eat an apple to have a fucking attack. I just go outside.
Number 9 is find purpose and meaning. I think this may be the most important mental side of it. I think the sleep one is probably the most, I don't know the diet, but finding a purpose and meaning is so incredibly important because it gives you something to live for. And if you don't have something to live for, then you're going to usually, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but you're going to find things that are unhealthy for you. And dive into that rather than being focused on a mission. And it doesn't have to be saving the world or something like that, but knowing that you have a place on the earth for a reason, I think is very important. And unfortunately, a lot of times we don't get to choose when that is shown to us. I think that, I know for me, it has been after going through a lot of really bad shit that I finally discovered why I think I'm here. But if I didn't go through all that shit, I wouldn't have known that. I wasn't, meant to be a pitcher. I wasn't meant to be a fitness model or anything like that. But Mike, did you want me to be a fitness model for you?
I'm like, you could pull it off, Will.
No, anyway, so I think that is very important. But you have to sit back and reflect on that. Is it something that you contemplate or anything like that? I mean, this is me being...
Definitely. Like, I definitely think having a purpose is something that I try to teach to my 16-year-old. Mm-hmm. Because if you just go out to the basketball court and you're just messing around, like, you're not going to, like, figure out what you need to work on, whether it's baseball or whether it's wrestling or whatever. Like, you have to have, a purpose of something you're going to be doing, and if you don't have a purpose, it's kind of like a boat floating down the river with no rudder or no motor or nothing. It's just going to be bouncing off the dikes or the hills or whatever you want to call it. And, I just think that, I think that, like, our journey is just so important. Our journey is so important. And for me, just to think about, how at one point, like as a child, being mocked and made fun of for having freckles and having this and having that and whatever else, or mocked, for different things about you. And then feeling like, fuck, like, why is this happening to me over and over and over? And then getting, to a purpose, of what we have now of, like, the podcast and kind of like using all of our stories and stuff like that to help other people. And it wouldn't have helped you appreciate that if you hadn't gone through those tough times. And I think it is important to appreciate our tough times, even if they sucked, but that, you survived them. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I was going to say kind of the same thing Gary did. With the jetties and dikes and stuff. But
I'm going to tell you a story about a boat floating down a river in a second.
No, like for me, before even going through all my shit, I didn't really know why I was here, and what was the point of me even being here? When I was at my lowest. But COVID hit, the world went to shit, and we ended up meeting and having coffee and turned it into this. And I'm like, okay, this is why. And it took 43 years to find my purpose, but I know what it is now. And I just want to keep getting better at it. It's kind of funny because I'm religious, and I went to, we had this, my ex-brother-in-law's mom, she had this gathering at her house, and this guy
Wouldn't that be your ex-mother-in-law?
No, my brother-in-law's mom.
Oh, your wife's or your sister's ex-husband?
No, my ex-wife's sister's husband, who was my friend before he married her sister. She had somebody come over that was like a prophet, and he's all looking at talking to the other people and stuff, and I'm just kind of chilling in the back, not saying anything, just kind of observing, and he looks over at me and he goes, "And you're going to be a pastor one day." I'm like, "What the? No, I'm not. I'm never going to get up on a pulpit and talk about anything." He goes, "No, not in a traditional sense."
Really?
He goes, "You're going to bring, what did he say? He said, you're going to lead men to something."
No shit. How long ago was this?
2012.
No kidding.
Damn, that's cool.
Wow.
And that was just like, and now it makes sense what he was saying.
That's crazy.
Because at the time I was like, yeah, right. I'm never going to do that. But in the non-traditional sense, it's more using my experiences to connect with other guys and, turn it into what we're turning it into.
And having the maturity to accept and put the words out necessary to make that connection, because so many people out there don't know how to make sense of the shit show that they're living. Mm-hmm. I know that I have struggled with that in the past. I didn't know how to quantify what I was going through. And then you kind of get to this moment of clarity where you're like, it makes sense. It had to happen this way. Otherwise it wouldn't have worked.
The funny thing is I heard this as a kind of somebody basically said, you're a mouse on a wheel, right? Mm-hmm. And you're having to stay in the rat race, and you're on the wheel and on the wheel, on the wheel. All you have to do is step off and you'll get out of your shit.
Yeah.
But how many people are still looking at what's in front of them, going faster and faster and faster, and they can't just look to the side and go, "Oh, I'm going to take a break."
Yeah.
Well, and it's that meaning that they think that the meaning is at the top of the wheel. So they keep trying to run to get up to the top of the wheel, but it never is there because it's not about them. And, we talk about finding that inner peace and being happy for yourself, but we've said it many times on here that we've got to take care of ourselves first so that we can take care of others. Yeah. We've got to be, I don't want to say healed as in it's over, because the process is never ending. At least
it's more
it
refining.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I mentioned it last podcast or the one before where, I go through something and it hones me a little bit more. I thought it was kind of like making a sword. You beat on it for a while, you get really hot, I get heated, and then I get beat on for a little bit to make me a little bit sharper, and then I cool down, and then we start it all over again until I'm sharp. And I did a lot of beating for a couple of years and finally have gotten to that point where I feel like I'm getting pretty sharp.
Yeah.
And not that you don't have bad days, though, and that's something that I think that everyone needs to really remember, is that we all go through these moments where, man, we're feeling good, and then we wake up on a Tuesday and what the fuck just happened to me?
That's your next lesson.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have a bad fucking day.
Yeah.
You wake up and on the wrong side of the bed. You go to the gym, and I stubbed my toe the other day and I just about lopped my foot off. I was like, fuck it, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But it's that type of thing that you have to learn. This is something that I've really tried to focus on, is that rather than fight the bad day, which is what I would do, I would just fight myself all damn day. I'm trying to learn how to go with it and how to channel the energy, even if it's bad energy, into something positive. And I know that sounds really woo-woo, but it's just about me kind of, okay, calm down. Nothing is wrong, especially if it's an anxiety type thing. Just in through the nose, out through the mouth, everything's all right. And try to get back on that path that, I really try hard to stay on.
But I think like one of the things that kind of holds people up though is people want to get to this like perfect place. Like people want to get to perfection until, they want to say, oh, well, when I, lose 50 pounds, then I'm going to start helping other people or when I, get out of this headspace or whatever, when like really like you could be using your journey or your tools or whatever to give back and help other people right where the fuck you are. And it's like, I know so many people that are just like so focused on like, I have to be in this space before I can do X, Y, and Z, or before I can help other people or whatever. And I'm just like, no, like you don't have to be all the way over here. Like you've lived 30 something years already.
Life isn't about the destination. It's the journey.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's true.
It's making the most of the dash.
Right. That's exactly right. And I think to your point, Gary, that is an excuse people use to allow themselves to justify spinning that wheel. It allows them to justify that wheel spin because that's what they're still getting. They're still looking for that external validation. They're still looking for somebody else to solve their problem for them because they're too afraid to face the mirror.
Yeah.
They don't want to look up and go, motherfucker, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, I hand up, I just screwed up and I gotta move forward. I've got to make myself better. I have to refine myself. And I mean, we see that online a lot where just start. 90% of it is just taking the first fucking step. I mean, if I'd have done that when it came to losing weight and whatnot, I'd still be a fat motherfucker.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
My knee hurts.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Got to do it tomorrow. I only got one hand.
Yeah.
Excuses are like assholes. We all have them, but you have to push through them.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of, mental fortitude to accept that we're not perfect. And especially if you've been raised, you mentioned the church. A lot of times you're taught that, you have to be a perfect person. Yeah. And if you're not, you're bad.
Yeah.
And that's where I have a big issue with the church is that I have other humans trying to judge me, and you can get the fuck out of here with that shit.
I would say a lot of
Christians
professed Christians are
the least Christian people
probably the most judgy people I know.
Fuck yes. The hypocrisy just reigns supreme. And that's why I have a very bad relationship with the church. I have a great relationship with God. Yeah. It's those people that go inside his building that I usually have an issue with.
Yeah, and it's funny for me, like being in college, going from my community college like that I was at. So I was around a lot of pretty bad people. Like a lot of people went to prison and jail and were doing some pretty bad things. But then I went to a 4-year biblical school, and that school had even worse people.
Oh yeah,
but
they're snorting coke off hookers' asses and banging each other.
It was so crazy because it was like.
Are you talking about Portland Bible?
No. But it was just better criminals. Like these people were better, but they were seen as just different because of the cloth and because of other things. And
well, you could say it, the color of their skin. You ain't got to lie, Craig. I mean, just call it what it is. That's what it is.
So some of the people had the complexion for the connection. I'm just going to say it that way.
It's true though.
Before.
Yeah.
And if we're not willing to admit that, then we're not willing to admit a lot of other things. Yeah. But I think that also when you have birds of a feather, whether it's a church, they protect each other.
Yeah.
A family, whether it's a crime family or whatever it might be, a lot of times criminals get in trouble because they go off on their own or they're egregious about something. But if they did it within the clan, a lot of people will run air support for them and cover it.
Yeah.
Same thing happens in the church.
Yeah.
They'll say and do whatever it means to keep that group out of trouble,
out of harm's way.
Exactly.
That, yeah.
I mean, the shit I have seen people willing to do to cover for the transgressions of a member of the church and justify absolutely devilish things.
Yeah.
Like, there's a church in Vancouver that went through a major thing.
Oh, yeah. When he was lopping shit over the fucking border back and forth for a Mexican drug lord for years so that he could...
So his kid wouldn't go to prison and die?
Yeah. I don't know the whole story. I know I've read a lot.
That was Breaking Bad, wasn't it?
No. No, this is kind of a real Breaking Bad. He was a major pastor over in Vancouver.
I've never heard about that.
Oh, yeah. The Colombian did a huge series on him.
I'll tell you about it after off air.
When was this?
A couple years ago.
It was
3 years ago?
More than a couple
4?
years ago. I mean, it was going on for a long time, but he didn't get... His name's John, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He it's not a secret. I mean, this shit was front page of the Colombian every Sunday for like
He's
a
out
month.
now.
Is
I
he?
don't even spend that. He didn't even do that much time.
No. Well, he was just moving weed.
Yeah.
I don't think he was into anything.
No, it was more than that.
Oh, was it?
A lot more. Yeah, there's a lot that didn't make it into the paper.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But anyways, what's number 10?
Number 10, last one, because we're going to wrap it up here on this one because we've already gone over an hour. Get help. Therapy is a good thing, and even those of us that don't think we could use it, could use it. I say that because having somebody that is smarter than us when it comes to our brain give us feedback that we're may not be able to give to ourselves is a good thing. I think it is very important for each of us to get outside of our comfort zone, and our mental health is a good place for that. And talking with a therapist or counselor, whatever it might be, somebody that will push back on what we think of ourselves and things like that to challenge us is very, very important. And I think that that's one of the things that we try to do here with our listeners is challenge you to, if you've gone through something that is similar to us, we want to challenge the way you have thought about your experience to see if maybe it could have been handled better or you'll handle it differently in the future. At least that's something that I really try to think about, is how we can have the listener or whatever, our audience member, challenge that thought process to make it better for them in the future. And
Definitely. I think this one, it's for me, it's one of the more important ones, because I feel for myself, I found the most growth getting, help from a therapist or a counselor or whatever, and I've went to a plethora of therapists and counselors, and I just recently found one that I like.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that we need to remember, is that just because you dial one up and you sit down with them for a few times, you're not married to them.
Yeah.
If you're not vibing with them, move on.
Right. And for me, I found somebody that I finally like, and I'm super happy and thankful for her. And, I've had therapists and stuff before where they would try to talk to me like I was a child and talk to other people like I was a child. And I hate that shit.
Yeah.
It might work for somebody, but for me, it doesn't work. And I just think, it's important to, find somebody that's smarter than you and somebody that you respect as well.
Yeah.
But
that doesn't speak down to you.
Exactly.
That is a sign of ego.
Exactly.
And we don't need ego. We need solutions.
And for me, something that I needed was, if I say something fucked up or dumb, if I do something stupid or dumb, tell me. Mm-hmm. So she'll tell me. She'll be like, Gary, that was stupid as fuck. You shouldn't have did that. Like you should have did, you should have learned from your past, or you should have thought about where, this situation could have put you. And for me, I gotta have that, because sometimes I can not do the smartest things. So it's
none of us can.
Yeah. And just,
it's kind of the fun of life.
Exactly.
Speak for yourselves.
Oh yeah. Mike's over here with the halo above his head. That's why you got that white hat.
Yeah, right.
You want that.
You guys got black hats. I got a white hat.
You got the complexion for the connection.
Exactly.
No, you're exactly right, Gary. It's finding that voice that you do vibe with, that you will respect, though, because a lot of times people go into therapy or whatever it might be, talking to somebody about your mental health, just in general,
it's tough.
And you have made up the answer already.
Yeah.
It's that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that you learn and that you really almost incept yourself, in that you plant an idea and that you foster it, And it doesn't take place in overnight or in a week, but you work on it and you get yourself to that point where you've accepted it and it actually works for you.
And for me, like I thought I found the like perfect therapist before, you know, and I would speak with her once a week and things were going great. And then, you know,
told her you wanted to marry her?
No.
Oh,
Not
Step
that serious.
Brothers. That was Step Brothers, sorry.
And I don't know, like I'm just thinking, you know, like I'm so happy that I finally found a therapist, and she just started doing things that I like really didn't like. Like we'd be on, you know, the like telehealth or whatever it's called, and she would just like put the phone in her pocket and start going on walks to the park and stuff like that. So I would hear like people in the background and cars. It was just like when I was talking to you guys in my car. Like
really
the windshield wipers going back and forth and stuff. And I just had to kind of cut ties and just, I mean, maybe it was just like a evolution of growth, or maybe I just, you know, had to move on. But for me, it just didn't work out. And like, it wasn't a matter of like quitting therapy. It was just a matter of like moving on to somebody different.
Yeah. And different voices can, you know, provide different opportunities for growth because everyone sees things differently. And because it's based on their, they have a degree or whatever, but their experiences are also fueling the way that they're working with you.
Yeah.
I know you have been probably the biggest therapy user of us. I really fucked that up when I said it. Not a therapy. Yes, therapy enthusiast.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for a lot of people is, I understand the importance of talking to somebody about your mental health, but you have to get to your place or get to a place of being accepting of doing that. I would also say when you're looking for a therapist, find someone that's not going to talk to you about everything or say things that you want to hear.
Yes.
You need to have someone that's going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And that's a good therapist, someone that does that. If they're just placating to you, they're not good.
Yeah, they're just cashing checks.
Right.
That place.
How much are they really even paying attention?
I think also is, and I think the three of us probably would share this thought, is you can fake, especially if you're an injured person, you know, you've had a lot of shit, trauma, all that. You can manipulate your way through therapy and make things sound a hell of a lot better than they are.
Yeah, if you're honest with yourself and you're honest with other people, I mean that's scary to do, you know. That's even addiction in itself, is the lying and the chaos and all that stuff. Because you know, going through counseling, I went last night, and in my workbook that I'm working on, it's actually, you know, the addictions that I have with food and sex addiction, those are actually kind of a symptom of what I'm actually really addicted to, which is chaos and fear and anger.
Yeah.
And so that's just a byproduct, and that's how I cope with, or how I coped with it.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but that's how I did cope with it. And, you know, I didn't even realize that at the time, you know, that it got down to that level of those three emotions.
That's the kind of crazy thing when you talk to somebody like that, they turn that kind of that leaf over so that you can see, okay, really, why is it? And, you know, I talk about the book Adult Children of Alcoholics a lot, because that was that for me, and why I was a people pleaser, why, you know, because I justified a lot of the bullshit that I went through as it was just, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Or that's what happened to you. And no, that's not. And the same thing for you, Gary. I mean, a lot of the fucked up shit that you dealt with, you normalized in your mind, because that's how you rationalize your life.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just, you know, uncles steal their nephew's shit and sell it on the corner.
Yeah.
For whatever.
Yeah.
And when you step back now and you're like, no, that's not how shit works, man.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, like only recently, like within the last couple of years, that I learned that not everybody's out to get me, and not everybody's like that. You know, and that came through, you know, like lots of challenging myself and looking myself in the mirror and looking people around me, just to see what their true intentions and stuff like that were. But, I never would have figured that out without, looking myself in the mirror, therapy, trial and error, and like audiobooks and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the biggest struggle I have to this day, and the thing that is the hardest for me, is trust.
Yeah.
I really still struggle with trust.
Yeah.
And I know that, and I really try to work on it, because they really talk about, for doing this kind of stuff is relationship building, and what's the bedrock of every relationship? Trust. And when you've had as many bad experiences as I have, it's really hard to do that. So it's something that I every day I have to remind myself that you've got to you got to give a little bit, because that's the only way I'm going to let people inside me so I can start trusting them.
Yeah.
You got to give them a little bit. I used to just give it all to them, and then I would end up disappointed when they would, take advantage of it or whatever.
Right.
Now it's more of a measured thing.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up here, because what are we at? Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes. By the way, everyone, this was not our topic today. Remember about an hour ago when I said we're going to move through this quickly? Our topic was actually the benefits of owning pets and the mental health benefits of pets, which I still believe we'll make a show out of that. But I think this was also very good to go over, because actionable items for our listeners to help themselves and to give our spin on how we've done it, I think is an important thing to say. So What do you got for us, Gary? Wrap us up here.
I mean, I am thankful that so I'm going to go and get a blood test soon. So then
for your allergies? Or?
Yeah. So then I can figure out exactly like what I'm allergic to. And I just think this is something that I've been prolonging and just putting off for the longest time, because I've just been making excuses and just putting it off and off and off. And finally, I'm just going to go and do it, because I don't want to, bite into a pear one day and find out, oh, fuck, like I'm allergic to pears too. Fantastic.
They'll probably give you the skin test as well.
Yeah. So, yeah,
the blood test, I've done it before, and the blood test is just kind of a moment in time.
Yeah.
The skin one is more telling.
Because the skin one, it's like multiple shots or something like that, right?
No, they just scratch you. Like I had
A lot of times
32.
they go down your back, don't they?
Now they do. In fact, my oldest just literally yesterday got his taken off, but they did because he's a mechanic. They have a full mechanics panel, but he had 11 boxes on his back. They all look like little acid tabs, and I think each box had 8 in it. So he had like 88 or 90 different things tested. But yeah, full back.
Yeah.
Couldn't shower for 2 days.
Wow.
But he smelled wonderful.
Oh man, he was not happy about that, because it was. And then they put Tegaderm, the stuff you get after a tattoo, all over his back.
Yeah.
And it just itched, and you can't itch it. And
oh no,
it was not a very good thing. He was not happy about it, but he was, having some reaction to something, and like you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's the only way I figured out I was allergic to wheat.
Yeah.
But back then, this has been 20 years ago for me. I had all the scratches on my arm.
Yeah.
They had a big panel right there.
I did the blood panel, and I figured out what I'm sensitive to.
Okay.
Yep.
But going away, I don't know. I got a lot out of it today. Just really made me think about yesterday's counseling and stuff like that, with digging deeper into get below the surface maybe issues and get down to the core issues. And for myself, that was kind of a telling thing.
Yeah.
So and then come to figure out I do hold some hostilities towards some of my parents and some other people, and that's where a lot of those core beliefs about myself have come from lack of care, lack of just attention or whatever it was growing up. So it's nice to know that, because I think a lot of people are going to be in that same boat, and I'll be able to relate a lot of that to them as well.
Absolutely, because I think a lot of times we just shut it off, the bad shit. We just don't want to remember it. And then if we do remember it, we've got to work through it. Like, those times that dad freaked out or mom, whatever, and realizing that it's not our fault and that we didn't do anything bad when we were 6 years old and they were screaming at us, telling us that, we're a waste of time or whatever. Yeah, that sucked, but it wasn't our fault, and we're not a bad person. We don't need to feel shame for it. I think, we've talked about shame in the past and just the power that can hold over us and stop us from doing those things because we think that if it's not perfect, then we're going to feel shame for it because of whatever guilt that has been driven into us. So,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just being happy with yourself. And, that's the thing that I would say for everyone is get yourself to a point where you're generating your own happiness and everything else will fall away. You won't give a shit if somebody says you should be exterminated.
And I will tell the listeners that it's okay to put that bag of shit down.
Yeah.
You don't have to carry it all the rest of your life.
And you don't have to hit everyone over the head that did something to you either.
Yeah.
You can just move on.
And you don't have to hurt the people that you love by carrying it around.
Yeah.
So put it down.
It's like Santa's bag. It's got to empty out at some point so that you can, because you're restarting. Once you drop that bag, everything's new. Once you finally allow it to hit the ground, life is completely different after that.
Yeah. I think the scary thing for me was putting it down because I didn't know what it was like not to carry it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, for me, it was I didn't know I had it, and then I realized how heavy it was, and I was like, motherfucker, this really sucks. And then I let go of it, and I'm like, oh, this is a lot better now.
Yeah.
And again, not that it's perfect every day, but it has given me and allowed me to change and install the boundaries necessary for me to be the best version of me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can hope for.
Yeah.
It's free. That's you got to it doesn't cost me anything to do that.
Yeah.
No, nothing. So with that, we hope everyone has a wonderful week. We gone.